Hey, what's up, everyone? Matthew and Sina here, and we are joined by the crew here at the Futur. Introduce yourself, guys.
Hi, I am Greg Gunn.
Ben Burns here.
So this is the first time we're doing this. This is the first time we're doing this out for you guys. We wanted to have this opportunity where we can react to you guys because we have just been working on this series kind of in the dark and in the closet over here, and we put it out there. I know you guys had tons of questions. We wanted to give this opportunity to interact with you guys. And I know we don't do much live streams anymore lately. So this is our opportunity to connect with you guys because I know some of you guys really missed that. And episode 1, I wanted to start off with a little clip just to give context to what we're talking about, and then let's just dig right into it.
Okie dokie.
Okay, let's go watch this clip here.
That meeting was a tough one.
Felt like people didn't want to be there.
I feel like we waste a lot of time in these meetings.
I'm not gonna lie, it was long, and like, does it have to be that long? I don't know. Is this all recorded?
All right. So this episode was about our very first meeting, and it was a long
Our
one.
very first meeting ever as a company and people.
Yeah. This is
Sure
the
felt
first
like it.
time I met Greg Gunn and Mr. Ben Burns, and none of us got along. No, this is our first meeting to talk about the website, and it was a really long one.
God, it was.
Yeah.
And we don't like to have meetings because typically meetings are a waste of time. We like to do more work than we like to actually meet and talk about it. But this was an important one because the website is such a huge part of how we operate, how we communicate, and then how we even make money.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to open it up to you guys. Like, why do you think that meeting went so long?
I think, you know, before we even talk about that, I want to thank and pay Ben a compliment here, just for context, because if you go to thefutur.com, we have a website. The only reason we have anything up at thefutur.com is because Ben had the, I don't know, being okay with sleep deprivation to make a website years and years ago. No one really questioned it or did anything. So thank you, first of all, for allowing us to have a website to begin with.
Yeah.
And then, you know, going into this meeting, I think this was really the first time we all came together and said, all right, it's time to actually think about what our website's doing and what we want to achieve with it, right? A little more than just having a presence.
Right.
So that's sort of the foundation for this first meeting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The goals of the website was really where we kind of came together and clashed and had good conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we took most of the time, because we were trying to answer really hard questions.
Right.
It's like we knew we needed to make money. We knew we needed to tell the story of the company, and we have to do both.
Mm-hmm.
It's the how, and how, what we prioritize on what page was where we were kind of like butting heads. And, through that conflict, we were able to get to a good point, but the conflict took a while. So
Yeah.
that meeting was a long one.
Yeah. And as we pointed out in this episode, usually you and Chris are on the complete opposite sides of the spectrum. Chris is all about the why and making sure that we give and teach to our community and reach as many people as possible, where you're really focused on the business, making us money, because without that, we don't exist.
Yeah.
We can't support this big mission, and it's this big chicken and the egg thing. But, I've been in all of these meetings with you guys, especially listening to you and Chris go at it.
Yep.
And some of you might be looking at this and like, wow, that's so inefficient. Like, why don't these guys get along? But the thing is, where we clash and where we meet in the middle is actually where we're making a lot of progress.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's very difficult, but I feel like where we meet in the middle is where it's pushing us beyond our current limits, but it's also very realistic and tangible for us to actually do. So it's that nice balance of dreaming and realism that I think where we ultimately get on a plan forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And through the tension in the past, beautiful things have emerged.
Mm-hmm.
Chris had a metaphor. He's like, when we butt heads like this, we're actually hammering out something that's really shiny and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So through that motion, we're creating beautiful things like the business boot camp,
Right.
The second channel, the academy channel. All of these things were born out of conflict and tension. And sometimes we just kind of have to get through it, be respectful, but we gotta experience the conflict in order to find that diamond. No pressure
Right.
on a
See
diamond.
what you did there. Yeah. Has
Yeah.
Chris ever thrown something at you in a meeting?
I don't think so. I've had far worse bosses. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another thing to maybe explain is like, no one here doesn't get along. We all care probably a bit too much about what we're after, and we all have slightly different, mental constructs of what success looks like for the future. And coming together and being able to, duke it out, so to speak, in a constructive way is critical to that, wherever it may lead us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no one's throwing chairs.
No.
Yeah.
And everybody's there is we're fighting for the company. We're
Mhm.
fighting
Mhm.
for our mission.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's the how that gets us into kind of conflict.
Right.
That's-
Because we're all designers, we're all tinkerers, we're all people who want to figure out what's the best way to do this thing.
Right.
Right. So we have, here's 5 steps that we could do it, or here's another 5 steps that we could do to execute this
Right.
plan. So this is where we always get into the nuances and why sometimes it's not good to have so many cooks in the kitchen,
Mhm.
right? Like it's a bunch of smart people in the room, but at the same time, sometimes it pulls and pushes in the wrong way and it takes much longer
Yeah.
versus if people come to these meetings with some conclusions already or some ways to make it more productive,
Mhm.
those are things that we could all work on. So what are some tips that we might give to the audience out there where they might be experiencing these longer meetings? Like what are some things that we've implemented to help expedite this?
I think for sure at the beginning of the meeting,
Go to the bathroom.
go to the bathroom. For real. Yeah. But also have the agenda of the meeting set.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into a meeting like this, make sure that you're solving one problem. If it's the conflict between the goal of making the company money or telling our story in a better way and making it easier for people to find things, if we need to resolve that conflict, set that for the meeting agenda and
Mhm.
only focus on that.
Right.
Because I think
Mm.
it's really easy, especially when you put all of us in a room. We're all friends. We work together. We have our hands in a lot of different pots,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really easy for those meetings to kind of grow out of control.
Mm-hmm.
But since the time of the website, when Chris and I sit down, it's like, all right, let's solve one single problem, and we talk through it, and then
Mhm.
it's done, and we break.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing. Set the agenda, set what you want the result of the meeting to be,
Mhm.
and then accomplish that.
Right. And
Yeah.
with the agenda, I think it's important to get everybody's buy-in on that agenda, right? So
Mhm.
we usually do this at the beginning of meetings where we go around the rooms, like, what do you want to get out of this meeting? What do you want to get out of this meeting? And then we all align and then we prioritize, like, well, what should we talk about first, second, and third? So that
Mhm.
we can know if we run out of time, because we usually do, at least we're talking about the most important things first,
Yeah. I
right?
think it also helps to have someone who's facilitating or at least leading the meeting,
Mhm.
who can keep an eye on the agenda. So when someone starts veering off course on a wild tangent, they can kind of reel them back in and keep the conversation on course.
Yeah. The only problem with that is that sometimes the facilitator doesn't think that they can voice like opinions because they're
Mm.
facilitating. So I know that's a situation that we've kind of gotten in.
Yeah.
And when we need everybody's opinion on the table, that's when we do something more like a design sprint from AJ and Smart.
Mm.
That way, there is a facilitator, but we're all kind of like working individually and writing
Yeah,
things versus
right.
voicing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you guys are in these meetings, keep an agenda, time box thing, try to have somebody lead the meeting so that it can keep things on time. And I've noticed that you and Chris, you guys are having side conversations all the time. So usually whenever we get into these things where it's just 2 people who end up talking in the room, we try and table it. It's like, it sounds like you guys have a lot of stuff to hash out and work through. Is that the best use of everybody's time in the room right now to discuss that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or can we table that, you guys figure that out, and then just bring back the insights to the rest of the group? Like, what do we
Yeah.
do with that, right?
I just want to call out our pod. It says they're literally having a long meeting about discussing a long meeting. Lord. So true.
Oh, boy.
You're not wrong.
We are getting very meta here. All right.
We'll have a meeting about this later, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
You guys can have that meeting without me. All right, so let's go to some Q&A. Right now, we've pulled a couple of your guys' comments that you commented on episode 1. Thank you so much for all of your guys' feedback. I think you guys are a wonderful audience, and I'm glad you guys are excited about this series as much as we are. And there was a couple of questions that have popped up in there that we've surfaced and we've pulled onto today's stream so that we can answer them. And of course, if you guys have follow-up questions, just drop them in the comments right now, and then we'll be happy to answer them. So the first question is from Dubtat. He says, well, 4 creative directors and 2 designers, what could possibly go wrong?
I think, Dubtat, it's a great question, but a better question would be what could possibly go right? Yeah.
That's funny.
Who wants to answer this one?
Yeah, I think we talked about this earlier. It's like sometimes having too many cooks in the kitchen is counterproductive, right? You have too many voices in the room where nobody's fully aligned and they're kind of scratching at very different things.
Yeah.
So it's really important to get the alignment in there. But for this particular meeting, I think it was very important to have many of the stakeholders that are looking at different things like content, the website, like the marketing and sales. It's really important that we all get in the same room and hash it out, because if we don't have these hard decisions made, then we'll never get anywhere.
Yeah.
And I know it says 4 creative directors and 2 designers, but actually all of our backgrounds is in design. So we're very conscious of that. We think like designers, but we're also very concerned about very particular things. For me, it's the content. For Chris, it's the vision and the big dream that he has for the company. For Greg, he just needs to get this stuff done, right? Like he's been the guy to execute this thing. And I know for Ben, it's like, well, we got to make money, otherwise none of this exists. So everything can go wrong.
Yeah.
But I think so many things could go right in that conflict.
But I also want to clarify this too, because we've got the question being 4 creative directors and 2 designers. But really, I think all of us have shed the creative director title.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're looking at is not 4 creative directors and 2 designers. You're looking at the CEO, COO, the chief content officer, and then chief creative officer. So the meeting was really about the website goals, which you need all of the leadership of the company in to get things done. And then after the meeting, Greg, you were the creative director of the website. So you kind of took that and ran with it.
Took off one hat, put on a different hat.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I have like 12 hats in my office. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. If you look at Chris's office, he literally has 12 hats hanging on the wall. So we do have to wear a lot of hats. I mean, we're a small bootstrap company.
Yeah.
You know, we do have to share a lot of responsibilities, and we're self-funding everything. We don't have any fancy investor money. We're not part of a big tech company. We're paying for everything. So we kind of have to make the stuff
pays
work.
For it all.
That's right.
That's true.
All right, let's go to the next question. This is from Tristan Bailey. He says, P.S. Can the voice-over guy introduce himself properly on some normal videos? As never seen him before, so don't know anything about him.
Guys,
please.
You mind if I take this one?
Oh,
I mean, sure.
Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So Tristan, great question. And thank you for this. Next time I see the voiceover guy, when he's here, we'll have a talk. I'll let him know about your comment, and I'll see if he's comfortable being on video, maybe even on a live stream. So thanks, appreciate it.
Someday. We'll get him out of his
day.
shell. I just want to call out Mr. Tony Lopez, who dropped us a super chat. He says, thanks for the God is a designer hat. Awesome.
Thanks, Tony.
I would have also accepted beer clippings from Ben, too.
It's on the way.
It's on the way. He shed a little bit of that for you.
That went
Chopped
from
like 5 inches off.
that went from so like you should really bag that stuff. And
I
just
really
eBay it.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next question. I'm going to butcher this name, so I'm not even going to say it. You just read that on
SG.
screen. SG. This is from
There you go.
SG. He says, through deliberate practice of passionate detachment. Please elaborate. So I know
Please
that
do.
there was a section there that we talked about
Mhm.
where, Greg, you highlighted something that Chris had told you.
Yeah. I want to say this came from Pocket Full of Dough, actually. Passionate detachment. Yeah, I think, I explain it probably better than I'm about to in the video. But essentially, the idea behind passionate detachment is that you have to kind of separate yourself into 2 pieces when you're working on something. So there is a time when you're working on it and you're putting all of your creative soul and effort into that thing. And then as soon as that process stops, you can kind of take a healthy step back, divorce yourself from that, and then look at it objectively. So you are no longer connected to that thing. You're just like, here's the thing. Now let me look at it and be as objective as possible. It's much easier said than done. And I think it's something I still struggle with.
Yeah,
you know,
me
it's
too.
it's a very difficult thing to do. And you know, I'm sure these guys have different stories, but it took me a very long time to be comfortable and be able to do that in a meaningful way where I could actually get some use out of it. I remember taking jobs early on. We present work to a client, and if, you know, they didn't like it, it would be like throwing a fit and whatever, you know, and that doesn't help anyone. And it makes everyone uncomfortable too. So I think over time and growth and maturity and repetition really of kind of doing this and presenting it, I was able to create a healthy enough ego and thick enough skin to be like, cool, I understand. Let's take a look at this, and if this doesn't work, we'll try something else.
Yeah, I think for me, what Chris is trying to teach us and what we've all learned, I think, through the experience and in school is that you are not the work.
Mm-hmm.
You put yourself so much into the thing that you do, and that's great. All your passion, your intelligence, you're putting that into the work that you do. But as soon as it's done, that is no longer you. That is something that just lives out in the world and you can look at objectively as much as any other object in the world. So what helps with that is if you have clear goals and clear objectives of what this design is supposed to do, because design is supposed to solve a problem, then you could talk about it objectively. And I do that all the time with clients or with designers in-house where we're looking at work and I just ask, how is this helping us achieving our goal? Let's filter our comments based off of that, or a couple of things that we're measuring. How well does it do this, or how well is it meeting these creative parameters? Then it becomes completely objective, and it's not about the person at all.
Mm.
It's just like, is this work meeting the expectations that we have? Can it be better? And that's how we critique. That's how you look at something more objectively, is when you have objective things to measure it by.
You know why design is so weird and difficult? Because it's this like intangible thing. Because Matt, as you were saying that, I was thinking about, well, what if it wasn't design? What if you were cooking, you know, and you're making a soup? This is from personal experience because I'm a terrible cook. You're making a soup and you know, you're really into it. You have the ingredients in it. It's great. You feel great about it. Once the soup is done and you taste it, you can't deny that it either tastes good or tastes bad, right? There's like your tongue, your body, your biology will tell you, I don't like this, or hey, this tastes pretty good, but it could use a little salt. You know, design is not quite soup, but it's, you know, you can think about it the same way if that strange cooking analogy helps.
I love that.
Ben?
I'm still getting caught up on the analogy. I'm trying to.
I love it. That makes perfect sense to me. Let us know in the comments if you guys found that helpful, because I like to cook, right? And I feel like I'm more.
Can
sometimes
you teach me?
More.
I made that came from like soup I made for my wife, and it was
right.
so bland.
But with cooking, it's very much like design. It's like you're iterating and you're testing before it goes out, it goes out to the person that it's meant to be for. So I cook for my wife all the time. And as I'm cooking, you know, season, a little garlic, a little salt, a little heat, and then I taste it. This could use a little bit more acid. Let me put a little bit of vinegar in there. And then I adjust. And then once that flavor that I know that she would enjoy is there, then I serve it. It designs the same thing. It's like, it may be not perfect the first time you go. You might follow the instructions. You might have a clear guide of where you might go, but you still have to adjust and taste for preference, or, you know, the execution might have been not perfect. So you just have to adjust and go. So I love that analogy.
Hey, thanks.
It sounds like a book there. Book in the making.
Design is soup by
Parth.
Gunn.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying good analogy. Makes total sense. People putting the soup emojis in there right now.
Yes, let's get that popular.
That's fantastic. So I think if people can detach themselves and just look at it objectively, like, this is the thing, it's supposed to do this. Let's just let's just adjust as we go. We're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. That shouldn't be the environment, and let's just focus on the objective. And you could redirect things too. If you could feel like your clients or people you're working with are starting to get very subjective about opinions, like, let's make everything orange, then you just redirect them. So how's that going to help us reach our goals? How's it going to help align with the parameters we set? Right. And those are good ways to keep things on the rails.
The whole term "sleep on it," it's popular because it's very true. I think time and distance from something really helps kind of get some fresh eyes on something. Works for me, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to the next question here. This is from Islam Mahi. How come there's no UX designer or product designer in your website redesign team?
You know what else there isn't money for? Or, oh God.
Yeah, you did mess
Ruin
up
the joke. Ruin the
we
joke.
have no money. That's what I'm trying to say. No, that's a great question. And like, I'm still mad at myself for blowing that joke.
No, guys,
Yeah.
we're a bootstrapped
Yeah.
company. We didn't have the budget to pull on too many extra people for this project, and honestly, we've done this so many times for clients that I didn't see a problem with it. But really, it just comes down to finance.
Yeah. Ricky's laughing at us in the background. I can hear him.
It's a little delayed. He has the 5-second delay like
that makes
everybody else. He's got his noise canceling headphones, so he doesn't even know that he's making noise. That's good. It's real. It's raw.
Yeah.
We're here. So let's see. I'm just going through the comments here right now, seeing if there's anything that's related.
Now Stuart behind the camera is laughing at me for blowing that joke. Stuart.
Okay, so Jeremy Strike asks, at the end of the meeting, what goals and key performance indicators that proxy them? I think what he's asking is like, what were the action items after the meeting? Like we had this really long meeting where we were trying to hash all kinds of stuff out. What were the goals? Like what were the marching orders from them from that meeting?
Really trying to remember.
This meeting was before any of the website process, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
obviously the next step is going to be moving into site mapping and
Wireframe
information
kind of
architecture.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think
Right, yeah,
that was the
information.
next step.
Yeah.
We had to figure out the goals and the priorities first, and then
Mhm.
you guys kind of took the UX process from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that meeting actually because
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Greg, you were facilitating the meeting. Like you were kind of taking notes essentially because you were the one who has to act on this and lead the team after. So I know you were just writing down all of the goals that Ben had wanted and that Chris had wanted. We prioritized that in the meeting, and the big things were to for our users help them find content much easier, so we can connect the dots, because some people don't know we have stuff beyond YouTube. We have a podcast that exists pretty much on every platform. We have an Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, blog. There's tons of our content that lives everywhere else, but a lot of people don't even know that. So for Chris, his main thing was, how do we help connect all the dots there? How do we surface that for people? The second thing, for our users, we wanted to help develop journeys that are a little bit more clear. So we know that we have different segments in our audience. Some of you guys are students who are still in school or are self-taught. Other people have already been out of college. They've been working as a professional for a few years, and they're looking to level up or career change. And some of you are studio owners, and you guys just need help. And like, well, what about the money? How do I hire people?
Scaling.
Mm.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
a lot of unique problems depending on what stage you're in.
Right. And we realize we have all kinds of products that address the gamut of those things. So for our website, our big goal was to try and identify who those users are and then create clear user journeys for them to get what they need in an easier way, right? In the least steps amount as possible.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think, if I were to be super reductive about it, it would be help people find what they're looking for.
Mhm.
And then maybe show them some things that they might be interested in along the way.
Right.
Mhm.
Those are the kind of two: make money, talk about the dream and the mission. That's how I translated those two things into what the website could be.
Mhm.
And I want to clarify like the making money thing too,
Mhm.
because yeah, it's about revenue. It's about making money. It's about making sure that we can stay here and the future can exist in
Yes.
some form or fashion. But it's also a tragedy to me that so many of our audience hasn't purchased a product from us,
Mhm.
because our products literally change lives. Like
Mhm.
I talk to people all the time who have purchased the perfect proposal,
Mhm.
and they've 10x, 20x, 100x their rates just because of that one document and that
Right.
process and what they learned from that product.
Right.
Same thing with Stylescapes. I
Mhm.
just talked to a guy last week that literally had, for the first time ever, had a logo approved on the first round because he
Wow.
implemented Stylescapes in the
Nice
process
work.
and got the work approved because he scaffolded with the client.
Right.
And so it's a tragedy to me that these, I mean, if you think our content is good, the products are a step above.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, it's just a tragedy that not more people are going and investing
Right.
into themselves and their future.
Right. And I know for you, like your viewpoint, because you're the guy who's like looking at what's underneath the skin of the website, which is
Mhm.
traffic, conversions.
Yeah.
And you've measured all of the pages and you've surfaced all this data in these types of meetings where it's like, well, here's our baseline for conversions and traffic right now for every single page.
Yep.
If we improve these three things, improve a little bit of traffic here, improve the conversions on these things, this is what the net result is going to be. And you help predict for us what outcomes might be. So if we were to improve something by 0.5% on conversions,
Mhm.
that would help us tremendously in our
Right.
mission and fund more of the things that we do. So I'm glad we have somebody like you in the room, because I don't really know those things, or I don't even know if I care a whole lot. But
Right.
I'm glad that somebody like you exists within the context of this company, and it's the opposite of what Chris is thinking about, because we all have our own focus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm glad you exist too, Ben.
Oh my goodness.
It's just me.
Other people are saying, "Me too, Matt." See, like people know, people respect you. Okay. Let's go to the next question here. This is from LW. What I didn't understand was if the stakes are so high to be successful, as opposed to this being an experiment, why not hire a Webflow specialist instead of learning it while doing this? Why didn't we hire a Webflow specialist?
I mean, see the last question. Bootstrap company, no money, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, that was definitely part of it.
But-
That is a complex web of a question to answer. Not really, but I'll do my best. So I think the first thing was, well, we wanted to learn Webflow.
Mm-hmm.
We have a WordPress site, still currently, and it's really difficult for us to do anything with it if we want to add something or change something. It's just a pain in the ass. So we love Webflow. We're like, let's learn this. So it'll be a little painful, but at the end of it, we'll be able to kind of go in there and change anything we want on the fly. Anyone can just go in there and edit it. So that was sort of the first big thing is, let's learn this. It's a valuable tool for our business if we invest the time into it. And the second thing is Webflow happens to be a sponsor for the mini series. And we thought it'd be really interesting to document our missteps and successes along the way. And that's exactly what this series is. It's not a how to use Webflow. It's here's this fledgling company trying to figure out how to rebuild their site in Webflow. It's a story about these people and us doing it. So I think if we were to just hire an expert with the money that we clearly don't have, it would have really taken away from that story too. And I don't think we would have made a series about it at all. It would just be something completely different.
Yeah. And, if we hired somebody to build the website, we wouldn't have the depth of knowledge that we do now to be able to change things. Right.
Oh, that's true.
So-
Yeah. It's like reading someone else's handwriting.
Yeah. The whole point in learning this was so that we could make changes quickly in the future.
Yeah.
Like if we want to change a sales page right now, because our sales pages are, they're unteachable, they're all hand coded in HTML. We have to kind of like inject these little HTML blocks into the teachable sales page. But making one change literally takes 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas in Webflow, a designer can pop in there and make a change in minutes. That same change. So the time savings from learning this new tool is going to be massive in the future.
So it's a big investment upfront where we have to nuke everything that we've done before. Luckily, we've measured everything in terms of traffic and how it's performing now.
Yep.
The whole point of doing this whole thing is that we're just a building full of designers and creative people. We have no developers in-house, right? You and Sang probably have the most coding knowledge, but it's so light, right? And the thing is, it's like for us, like now I could jump in there if I need to stand up a new sales page or something that's very easy. It's in the context, like I could design that and then just turn it on. We can do things like A/B testing and see the performance of certain things. And so that's really helpful for us. So while it's taking us a long time to redo this and learn these tools, now all of us in the building have this knowledge and a designer can pop in and fix it. Cool. So that's the reason why. And so there's a question here that had popped up, and I want to address this. So Laura Seibert asked, hopefully I said that right, did you or are you performing competitive analysis or user surveys for before information architecture? And actually, some of you might have already got this, but a lot of people who run our channels, our social channels, and are in our different groups, we've actually been doing surveys for some of you, and we've been finding some very interesting things about all of you, like how you found us. Some of you have found us through our audio podcast first. So unusual, right? And then we have people who are super fans but have never bought a single thing from us. And there's all kinds of things that we're trying to understand. What is it that you all are looking for? What are some of your objections when finding some of the other things that we offer or purchasing from us? And then what can we do to make the products and the experience better? And so we've been conducting a lot of surveys. We've been documenting those things. And Jaden, one of our interns right now, he's creating user profiles for some of these things so that as we continue to work on things like the sales pages or continue to create content for you guys like this, it's better serving those needs and better serving those goals. So every so often we're doing these things, and now I feel like we're in a really good position because even though we've been a little bit content dark, only releasing 1 or 2 things a week, it's because we're heavily invested behind the scenes to make the company better, make the experience better for you guys so that in the future this is going to be all the things that we want it to be and hopefully going to meet your guys' needs a lot better.
Good question. Thanks.
All right. I feel like, did we answer this one already? Do you just want to answer that? Well, Tumisho asked, well, Chris is trying to tell the story and Ben is trying to make money for the company and people buy into the company because of the company's story. There should be harmony there, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it's finding the harmony. It's finding the balance. That was the most difficult part. So it's not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing on the goals because we need to do both. It's the tactics, it's the how that we found conflict. And
right.
But I think we've hit a stride here. I think we figured it out. Or maybe we didn't and I'm ruining the series.
No, I think this is going to be a reoccurring thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because, again, Chris is the dreamer. I think a lot of us are more realists, and the tension is where we're going to figure out and solve our biggest challenges as we move forward. Because we're a dynamic, agile company. We're trying to respond to you guys as best as we can. Like the more people we bring on board, it helps us scale, but also the more people we bring on board, the slower sometimes we become. So these are challenges, these are growing pains that you guys are seeing live as we go through this. You guys are witnessing a company that's transitioned from service work to now content and education, and us just learning and tripping over rocks along the way. Like we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes, as you'll see throughout this series and as we grow through the few years ahead. But hopefully you guys are learning in this process, and maybe there's some lessons that we can teach you, but also lessons of what not to do.
Yeah, definitely what not to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny, you know, Future's been around for a few years now, but we still are really kind of chipping away at the marble to define like what is the future exactly, you know, and that bigger question affects, you know, the company story, company mission, and ultimately how and why we make and sell anything. Couple that with, we're all just like a bunch of designers who now run an education and product company, it can get kind of hairy, but we're doing our best to figure it out, I think.
For sure. I just want to call out Aline Chaswad. She's French. Hopefully. AC says, she's a super chat. She said, thank you so much for all the content you guys are creating. Once a week at work, I share what I have learned from you with my team in French.
That's amazing.
So there's love from
cool.
France.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I recommend this to all of you guys, is that whenever you hear something or learn something from us, teach that to somebody else. When you teach it to somebody else, you're going to cement that knowledge and it doesn't evaporate in your brain and you're just consuming content. Aim to teach that to other people, because that's what we do here. We learn from Chris learns from other people, and we try to populate that knowledge as best as possible. So I encourage all of you guys to teach what it is that you know. Okay, let's go to the next question. Also from Tamisha. Says, Ben hadn't seen Avengers Endgame?
I've seen it now.
He's seen it
That
now.
was months ago. Guys, I just had a baby at that meeting. Yeah, I think Olivia was, what, a month old or something like that?
You had just come back to the office. I think. Yeah.
I still wasn't sleeping, so Avengers Endgame was way down on the priority list. But yeah, I saw it. It was good.
All right.
What
All
blows
right.
the shit?
Typo.
No, it's doing that so it doesn't get banned. Remus asks, what blows the shit?
When is the next episode?
When is the next episode? Well, we hope to release every episode every Wednesday. And we hope to do more Q&As like this on Thursdays.
Yeah, if you guys
So-
get anything from this, please let us know, because we can do it more. Or we can never do it again.
Right.
Whatever you want.
And this is a mini series. So right now we have slotted 3 episodes plus the Q&A. So there's going to be extra stuff there. So depending on how well this tracks, we might do more stuff like this. But for us, it's really just documenting the process and the people and our struggles through it, because it's not easy making a huge transition. And those are the things that we wanted to share with you all. So it's kind of a little break and a little experiment from our normal content where we have lectures and talks. This one's a little bit more reality based and what it's like to be a fly on the wall here at the Future. So let us know if you guys like this stuff, and obviously we can measure this with views and subs. And if there's not that much traction behind it, then we know we probably shouldn't do any more of this type of stuff. So
Yeah.
we're trying to see what you guys like, and we're trying to give you more things that will be beneficial to you guys. Okay. Let's see if there's any other questions on here, because I think this is the last question that I have surfaced. Before I go to the Q&A, so if you guys have questions, drop it in the comments right now, and I'll pull up some of the best ones. But before that, I wanted to make a couple of announcements of things that are coming up. So if you're in LA or nearby on October 9th, we're going to be hosting a live event here at the studio. Basically, we're going to have Josh and Kristen and the Hamilton crew come over, and then we're going to have everybody involved who was part of building a brand meet you guys. So we're hosting an event here. As part of it, we're going to do an open Q&A. You get to see the studio. You get to meet all of us. And we'll also be serving some of that legendary double mango IPA.
It's happening.
And it's happening October 9th. So very excited. Hope to see a lot of you guys here. And don't sleep on that, because it's going to be pretty fun. Next thing, tomorrow, we're starting to... this actually came out of our user interviews. A lot of the user interviews, when people have been taking our courses, they said, you know what? I wish there was more critique. So what are we doing? We're acting on this. Tomorrow on the Future Academy channel, which is our second channel, we're starting a new series called Feedback Fridays.
Yep.
So if you're a student of our course, we're going to be opening up more opportunities like this where we can review your work. You can get feedback so that everybody can learn from it, and then you get ways to improve your work. So tomorrow I'll be hosting the first one on the Future Academy, and this is for the students of the Stylescapes course. So if you're a student of that, we've already put a post in our private Slack channel. You guys should have got that with instructions to submit. I'll be selecting as many as I can and sitting down for 45 minutes to an hour to give feedback on the Stylescapes there. Again, if you purchase a course from us, we'll be doing this with other courses. We're going to do some rounds, but this is our way of trying to experiment with something new. So tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
I'm stoked for this. And this is not a public critique, right? in terms of like only students can submit?
Correct.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let me bring up. You guys see any questions that have popped up? Anything? Okay. Here's one from Tim. He says, "Love your content. It's awesome. About the new site, do you guys think it's a disadvantage not to have a web developer in your team while rethinking and redesigning your new website?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish we had a lot of things, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, Tim, that's a fair question, and yeah, of course it is. We're missing a lot of pieces to this Frankenstein, but we're doing our best. And going back to one of the very first questions, that's kind of the reason we decided to move forward with Webflow, and that you don't really need to know the ins and outs of coding to be able to stand up a really beautiful, a very responsive and delightful website to experience. So we're kind of like, leaning into our disadvantages in that way by using Webflow.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think it's a disadvantage. I would love to have one on staff.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
just,
you.
It's just priorities. Yeah, that's not me. Let me look up how to make something bold in CSS.
All right. Oh, there's a good question here. A little fire, a little spice on this one. Flipback asks, "Can somebody please explain how a company with no money is telling everyone how to make money?" Oh, there's a little spice on that one.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. No, go ahead, Ben.
First of all, it's not that we don't have any money, right? It's that the money that we are bringing in from the future, we're budgeting very, very strictly. So we're controlling the spend. We're spending it wisely, in my opinion. And kind of that's how we're doing that. The other thing is that this is a brand spanking new company in a completely different industry that we haven't worked in before. So we grew a wildly productive production studio, Blind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Blind has been in business for the past 24 years now.
Mm-hmm. Since 95.
Yeah,
Since 95.
Yeah. Right.
And, millions of dollars in revenue, clients like Xbox and all this kind of stuff. Now our mission has changed. Our mission for the future is not to get more clients like Xbox. It's to educate you guys on the road that Chris took in building that company and, our supporting roles.
Yeah.
So with a mission change, with a different company, with a different business model, we're going through the startup kind of growing pains, and that's where we're at.
I'm not sure if this question comes from this place, but I'm skeptical of many things on this earth, but especially those who promise to 10 times your revenue in 10 days, whatever, right? Like, I always kind of like smell BS on that kind of stuff. And one of the things I can say very, very kind of honestly is the reason I'm here still, and I believe in the future, and Chris specifically, is everything that we preach, we practice, we've done, we've used, we've applied, we've tried. And I mean, just from a personal experience, Chris has taught me so much to be able to grow my own career before I even came to Blind.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe in this kind of thing because I've seen it, I've done it, and I've lived it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a YouTube video that I watched and then repackaged as a product. And that's not to denigrate any other educators out there selling these things. I just know for us in particular, like this comes from real stuff, real experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's
The
what works for me.
easiest thing in the world would be for us to go out and get a new client
Yeah.
and do client work
Right.
and just continue that cycle and focus on that and grow the business. That would be the easiest thing in the world for us to do,
Right.
because clients are still knocking at the door,
Right.
even though we're technically not taking any new clients on at this point.
Right.
We're choosing the difficult route of growing an education company, something that's brand new to us. So
Right.
I think that's where the juxtaposition is.
Right. Because honestly, for the past few years, we've all been working 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We've been working at Blind, doing client service work, so that it could fund the future. Now that the future has reached a certain level of maturity where it looks like it can sustain itself, we're still trying to prove that model now. We've just decided to go all in because we know that 50% doing one thing and 50% doing another thing, it's not ever going to grow. Like both of them are getting half attention. So what we decided at the beginning of this year is we're going all in on the future. And this is our startup. This is our bootstrap thing. We're paying for everything and we're trying to make it work. We're trying to build it as we go and trying to figure it out. So it's not easy. We're not bajillionaires over here, but we're trying to make it happen because we love this part. We love educating. We love connecting with you guys and making content around this.
Spicy question.
Spicy question, but I think there's people just want to know, and I'm glad we got this opportunity. Let's see. There was a good question in here. And we just have a few minutes left. Man, there's questions that are a little bit off topic.
Pick the weirdest question and let's talk about it.
Oh, how do you manage ego during meetings, especially with freelancers who may not have prior experience working with the team? That one just seemed like a straightforward question.
I have questions about that question.
You have questions about that question? What's the question that you have?
About that question.
About that question? My question about this question that I'm questioning is whose ego is the question about. And I mean that because you said there's the team and then there's freelancers and you're talking about managing ego. So is it, I don't know, like the freelancer's ego coming to work for someone new and they're really good and a rock star and you're like, hey, relax? Or is it the other way around? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. That was my fault for telling Matthew to pick a really weird question. So.
Does that happen? Do freelancers come up in here with egos?
Some people do.
Yeah.
And what happens is
Not here.
Not anymore. They're not here anymore.
I don't think I've ever worked with.
Yeah, anyone that
like
has
that.
an ego, they get cut pretty quick.
Yeah.
Right? Like anyone who's bringing bad energy to the place, to the environment, like they don't stick around very long. And luckily they're freelance. If you're working in a place and there's a lot of ego there, you know what? Probably not a good place to work. So it's pretty easy. Like you can choose.
Yeah.
People get hired and fired. People do freelance gigs on short-term basis. You can just choose and not to participate.
If process is king, then culture is queen. Because
Yeah, big time.
yeah, you got to manage the culture.
Quotable.
I would always rather work with someone who's kind and nice and not that good at what they do versus like someone who I know will just destroy it, but is a jerk or mean-spirited or something.
Mm-hmm. All right, I found a good question here. This is from Sir Waste a Lot. He asks, or she asks, I don't know, did you guys ever consider doing a design sprint to kick things off? Funny you say that. We're doing design sprints right now. And again, one of the reasons why it's a little bit quiet on the channel is because we're focused on a lot of internal things. Based off of the user interviews that we have done, now we're running a design sprint week to week, working on the individual pages, like sales pages, conversions, content. And we're trying to tackle big problems. And the way a design sprint works is it's a 4 or 5 day sprint where you establish what the challenge is, you come together as a group, you decide what are the best actions in order to take to solve those challenges, and then you prototype or address those challenges within a week. So every week we're kind of taking on new little challenges that might not be highly visible to you guys, but for us, we're measuring and doing little incremental updates to a bunch of things so that the experience on the website for content everywhere is a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better.
Yeah. I don't think it was in our toolbox back then, though, because this meeting was in February, March?
It was a few months ago.
Yeah.
First one.
So I don't think that was in our toolbox yet. We just started implementing design sprints in the past couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's nice to kind of bring everyone back together, working on one thing too.
Cool. I think that's all we have time for. We're kind of wrapping up here. There was one more announcement that I forgot to make is that in November, we'll be at Adobe Max.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if
Come
you
see us.
come see us, we're going to have a booth over there. We're still kind of dreaming up what that booth and that experience is going to look like, but we're very excited for that. So this is the first time we have a legit booth there. We get to meet a lot of you. I know last year 13,000 creative people had flown out for that and met here in LA. So it should be a great gathering. We should have some special stuff in store for all of you guys. So I hope to see a lot of you guys there in person. I think it's going to be very fun.
Yep.
And they throw a really dope party too. So
Cool.
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to thank all of you guys for sitting down with us. I'd like to thank these guys for sitting down and sharing their thoughts. Next week, we'll be doing this again. Wednesday, we're going to release episode 2, and then we'll have another Q&A next Thursday. And I believe Jamie, our director designer on this job, she's going to be sitting down with us and sharing her perspective. With that, let's get a little preview as to
Even as professionals, designing for yourself is super challenging, and conflicting opinions amongst our team is not helping.
You know, we've had round 1 of design. I loved it. I really liked it.
I hated it.
Oh my God. Okay.
I did not like it at all. My feedback at this point would be start over from the ground up.
Ouch. Ouch.